All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey! Oh, Jesus, slow down.
Yeah.
Honestly, do my head in sometimes.
What team are you on, Darren?
Are
you team caffeine or you team no caffeine? Because I know what team I'm on.
Well,
We
like
know-
every team, it depends. I'm team caffeine.
You have no loyalty though, but he supports a different nation depending on the sport.
I like caffeine, but
I've lived in 3 countries.
Yeah, pick one.
he's a man of culture.
Yeah, I pick whatever.
He's a
whatever country's in.
traveller.
He picks whatever sport that country is best at. He goes for
Yeah.
South Africa in rugby.
Yeah,
He
it
goes-
used to be the All Blacks, by the way.
No,
but
no, no.
Since
Yeah,
the
yeah.
last World
Correct.
Cup, yeah, he switched.
Mm-hmm.
No, guys, you can
He's-
Australia in the
when
cricket, I
Warriors are doing well in the NRL, he's a
Yeah.
Warriors
I'm
fan.
always a Warriors fan.
Oh, come on, bro. Come on.
No, you
I've
can
been
change everything in your life. You
I'm a
can-
Tigers fan through and through. I've been a West Tigers fan for years. It has been a difficult decade for
Yeah.
us. Not anymore.
Speaking of changing
Right, baby.
can change everything in your life. I've changed.
What have you changed?
Just taking caffeine out.
I have. Like, there's so many pre-workouts on the market these days have just they rely on just giant amounts of caffeine, right? And while caffeine we know is a good performance enhancer, it does help. I think a lot of them have become over-reliant on that one ingredient, right? And,
Yeah.
and a lot of the other functional ingredients within that the formulas are sprinkled doses. There's no actual therapeutic dosages of anything. And so for me, I've moved away from those really heavily caffeinated sort of style of pre-workouts, and I'm looking for more functional formulas these days. And you train at night, but you're pretty good with caffeine, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean,
He's
you
just
know,
fucked in the head. He has a double scoop at 8 p.m. and he's
Yeah.
in bed by midnight.
Do you still sleep all right?
I still sleep pretty good, and I track it now with my Whoop. Like when I have caffeine, I log it on my thing.
You
And-
log it on your Whoop. He lays
don't-
awake all night just staring at his Whoop like
You
that.
really don't need an excuse to bring that up, do you?
The Whoop.
What's wrong with the Whoop?
Big whoop.
Yeah. Anyway,
But mate, if I was to do that at night, I'd be wired
Yeah.
all
Yeah, agreed.
night. And I think there's a whole range of people out there, obviously, that have the same issue. Like there's, if you're training 5, 6, 7 p.m., having most pre-workouts these days have got upwards of 250 milligrams of caffeine, right? So what are we looking at? Like 4, 5, 6, equivalent 6 cups of coffee?
pretty
in
much, yeah.
some?
So a typical cup of coffee is like 80 milligrams ish.
Yeah.
Like a Red Bull is 80 milligrams as well. So just to put that into
I'm gonna
context.
I'm gonna have to bleep that, mate.
What?
There's a curse word in this context.
No, but you're right. Like, but some people. Why do you think some people can handle it and some people can't?
Well, genetically,
Pussies.
you might have a genetic predisposition to caffeine sensitivity, and might have the necessary gear in your system to break
Could
it
you be
down.
more specific? Because like I know for a certain.
Well, there's enzymes and there's like neural pathways and things that are related to caffeine metabolism.
Do you reckon they're mostly natural, or are there things that people do to build a resistance other than just a tolerance to caffeine?
Well, you can build a tolerance, but there's also a genetic component to it.
Do you think you've built a tolerance, or do you think you've built a there's a genetic component?
Well, it's
to
like
it as
it's like everything, right? Like if you go to the gym and build muscles, part of that's genetics, part of that's training and nutrition, right?
Regardless of sensitivity, though, like I'm of the belief that pre-workouts should be used sort of for more intense sessions, especially the heavily caffeinated ones.
Yeah.
But there's days there that you go, okay, well, I don't really feel like a heavily caffeinated one for, like an arm day or a quick sprint session or something like that. But you do still want all of those functional ingredients that are in a pre-workout.
That's right.
Like your amino acid, like your citrulines and
But,
creatine.
some
and
people may ask
beta-alanine.
because pre-workouts have traditionally been a caffeine category, right? Like it's all about caffeine.
Yeah, it's a
like an
stimulant.
energy drink, right? It's a stim thing. So some people might ask, what's the point of a pre-workout if it doesn't have caffeine?
Well, you've still got if you're getting dosages that are functional dosages of the other ingredients that are impacting things like blood flow,
Yep.
energy production,
You think there are other
stopping muscle
ingredients in
tissue
there?
breakdown. Well, that's the thing. That's
Name
my point.
one.
Beta-alanine, creatine.
Yeah. No, but yeah,
arginine,
exactly. So
carnitine.
that's what I was trying to plant the seed of, that pre-workouts aren't just about caffeine.
No.
They've got other stuff in there that help you to train and perform well. Yeah, and another famous pre-workout, probably more widely used than caffeine is carbohydrates, right? Like
I was going to say something so different.
right, carbs are widely.
Yeah. PG here, mate.
Come on.
Let me go put a plate in the microwave.
Well, anyway, you almost fell into that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, carbs are pretty widely used, right? But again, not for everybody. Some people, might not want the extra calories and things that might come with.
Well, a lot of people like to use carbs prior to workout or training because it actually does help with that blood volumization, that feeling of sort of being pumped.
But it's about timing as much as
about
anything,
energy.
isn't it?
But there's still other ingredients that can help to encourage that blood flow as well. Like citrulline's a good one, right?
Yeah, and also the other thing about when it comes to supplements and eating is carbs are the easiest thing to get from your diet, right? So somebody might just have a couple slices of toast before training.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that immediately
No.
before. I'm very happy having a pre-workout, whether it's caffeinated or otherwise, immediately before exercise for that effect.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Like some people, they can handle caffeine. Some people can train on a full stomach. Some people definitely can't. And I'm one of the people that I can't really train if I've eaten too much.
I'm the same. If I've eaten, I have to eat an hour and a half to 2 hours before a workout. Otherwise, I'm feeling sluggish. I haven't digested my food properly.
Yeah, your body's focusing a lot of energy on processing that meal if you have too much.
And again, we've said this before. That's why supplements were a thing around training time. The digestibility of sport supplements are far greater than food. So that's why these things are.
We were on a shoot last week and we had a big lunch halfway through, and then I had to do push-ups or chin-ups in the background. I felt ill.
Yeah.
Even just doing a few chin-ups on a full stomach. I hate it.
Yeah, it's not great.
So
Great. But you do need some sort of nutrition prior to
you have to have the fuel to perform well, right? So it's more about eating throughout the day. Then when it comes to actual training, you want your pick-me-up before then.
So what are some of the ingredients that you're looking in like a functional pre-workout that is not as reliant on caffeine? So what are some of those core ingredients you go, okay, if caffeine's taken out of the equation, these are the functional ingredients I'm looking for?
Yeah, so the number one thing that you want from a pre-workout type product is probably blood flow and nutrient delivery, right?
Yeah, I'd agree.
So you want to deliver nutrients to your muscles and oxygen to your muscles.
So oxygen helps you to train longer and harder, and nutrients are going to encourage growth and recovery, right?
Yep, that's right. And
oxygen helps your muscles breathe.
I think people think, I've got a pump, I want the pump. But the pump is actually doing something. It's delivering nutrients and oxygenating them.
It's not just
exactly.
aesthetic. It just happens to look fantastic.
Yeah, but
short-lived.
Yeah, but the pump, is a tangible feeling, right?
Yeah.
The pump, you can feel something working, and it feels really good, right? But it's also beneficial for other activities, not just lifting weights, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blood flow. Think of how important blood flow is in any sport. 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. That's Hal's priority blood flow.
I've had my pre-workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking for ingredients that encourage blood flow. So name a few.
So the most popular one is probably citrulline.
Yep.
So citrulline, arginine,
Arginine,
citrulline, arginine, and
What's
ornithine.
wrong with you two today?
So these three amino acids are kind of related to your
citrulline, arginine, ornithine.
That's right. So they're related to your urea cycle, which is about producing nitric oxide in your body. Nitric oxide, you might have heard of that before. That's actually what causes your blood vessels to dilate, which means
relax,
increase in width. So more blood flows through them, and these three work very well to expand that.
Should you, in a very specific instance, should you try and avoid these ingredients if you have an open wound?
I don't think they're blood thinning like an aspirin.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? I
But
don't think it's the same sort
not
of.
that you would take it, but we're dishing out medical advice, so.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
it
get in
probably, if it's allowing more blood flow to the muscle, you'd have to think it'd have some sort of impact. But yeah.
Yeah, okay, but it's not blood thinning. That's a good point.
No, because your blood, you'll clot, right? If you have open wound.
What food can you find citrulline in?
It's a food that has a Latin name of citrulus something. I forgot, but it's watermelon. Yeah.
Could just
No.
say watermelon.
How much watermelon do you have to consume for however much
Yeah,
citrulline you might consume?
I think
What's the recommended dosage of citrulline?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but we did it on the citrulline episode, and I think it's 1 kilo of watermelon is about 3 grams of citrulline.
Yeah. I think
Far
I'm
out. So you'd have to. And how much citrulline should you have before?
Yeah, absolute
Like-
minimum about 2 or 3 grams, but
So-
the ideal dose is probably about 6 to 8.
Right. So you'd have to eat 2 watermelons.
Yeah, let's go.
I could probably do that on a hot
Challenge
summer's day.
accepted.
2 watermelons, easy.
Well, if you think about what you
It's
need
all wa-
before a workout, hydration, carbs, and citrulline.
It's actually a decent food pre-work, and they're
Yeah.
pretty light on
Yeah.
on the stomach. Watermelon, there you go.
Yep.
I don't think I've consumed
tip.
that much watermelon without vodka.
Oh, God.
Come on.
Watermelon flavored vodka.
Yeah.
No. Like you pour
Yeah.
like Jello shots. Well, not shots, but like.
When are you going to stop drinking?
I have stopped drinking.
This we're disguising today's podcast. It's actually
It's-
something different. It's
it's-
actually an intervention.
Yeah. This is not no caffeine. This is no alcohol.
Yeah. We cheat. Oh, there's going to come
I've
a
cut
point
down
in
a
time.
lot.
Have
Thank
you?
Very much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they all say. You're in denial. You're in the denial phase.
Nah.
Next, you'll be in the sadness. You were right. I am a drunk.
What are the 5 stages of grief?
So citrulline. So what else? What else? So you've identified the blood flow ingredients. What else are we looking for in a good functional pre-workout?
Yeah, a few other things for blood flow, right? Like beetroot juice and sodium is really good.
Ooh.
Like having, a decent amount of sodium is gonna give you a good pump
Yep.
of blood flow as well.
The beetroot juice extract is interesting as well because it's sort of an unknown. We know about it because we live and breathe this shit. But yeah,
Yeah, and people don't eat as much beetroot as watermelon. Maybe.
Yeah, it's fucking
no, it's harder to eat a
disgusting.
kilo of beetroot.
Oh, can you
Imagine how stained your face and stuff would be.
Beetroot shots.
Oh.
But if you eat too much beetroot as well, like your
Here we go.
your
This is-
urine will change color.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people think they have like a internal bleeding or something.
Isn't it the same with asparagus, or is that just?
No,
the
then
smell?
Just
it
change the
smells.
smell.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
All right, beetroot and asparagus for
Yeah.
dinner tonight.
What about energy producing ingredients? Because look, that's probably the main thing. People go, take away my caffeine.
Mhm.
How am I
Yeah,
going to
what?
get that same sort of energy hit? And I would argue, look, a lot of that is mental or focus based with the caffeine. You're not actually feeling
That helps.
bodily
It
energy. It's
helps
more
so
of a.
much, though.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
But what else? What else are we looking for energy production? I know creatine's a good one.
Yeah, so creatine is probably the most important when it comes to short-term energy things. So anything explosive, jumping, sprinting, any activity less than 10 seconds.
So lifting weights.
Exactly. And any activity, say above 10 seconds, under 2 minutes, anything anaerobic.
Creatine doesn't help.
Creatine probably doesn't help too much there. But what's going to help is
Carnitine.
having the right carbs in your diet, being sufficiently fueled, but also having stuff that can deal with the byproducts of metabolism, right?
No.
So
Beta alanine.
exactly. So when
Gotcha.
when you're going through anaerobic respiration, right, and producing energy,
Yeah.
you're producing all these waste products, and you gotta, your body has to be able to deal with them. And what beta alanine does is it's a lactic acid buffer, right? It helps your muscles not get too full with lactate because it converts into something
That's
called
like
carnosine.
the feeling of like stiffness that you get, like if you get into the end of like a high rep exercise, correct?
Yeah, when you feel
Like
your
that's
muscles
lactic acid.
failing to contract.
Yes. Yeah.
yes.
Cool. Can you talk about my favorite one now, please?
What's your favorite one?
You know what my favorite one is.
Carnosine.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, carnosine is good for energy production as well.
Yeah. Nice.
There you go.
Tip.
Yeah.
I'm happy. That's
Yeah.
all. That's
But
all
also,
I need.
It's utilizing fat as it shuttles fat into the mitochondria to use as energy. So it's a sort of a different way of creating energy, but it's still
Carbs
good.
too, though, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's mainly used in fat metabolism, but yeah, it does have a good energy
Nice.
component to it. And
Nice.
you love carnitine.
So creatine, carnitine,
Citrulline.
and beta alanine.
All for energy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also caffeine's really good for giving you some focus when you're when using a pre-workout.
Oh, I know what's coming next.
Did you get it?
Tyrosine.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, boy.
So as a good caffeine replacement, tyrosine is sort of a good option.
Well, your body, when you take caffeine, you actually, release a lot of dopamine at once, and tyrosine is a precursor to some of your neurotransmitters, so your body can replenish these stores of neurotransmitters that you've just dumped.
So even if you have a caffeinated pre-workout, you would still look for tyrosine to sort of help with that crash.
That's right. So it can help offset that crash, but then it's the same as having enough tyrosine and having enough fuel for your neurotransmitters. Even though you're not opening the floodgates and letting it all out with caffeine, it's still good to have that amino acid store going on in your base. Yeah.
Speaking of amino acids, what else is in there?
What are we talking about here? Oh, we're talking about this product. Pre-workout, zero caffeine. Yeah. So we do have a caffeinated version and also a shred version, but this is the latest edition due to popular demand. We're getting a lot of people training at night, and a lot of people are consuming a lot of caffeine throughout the day, just through coffee and other things. So they're looking to limit their amount of caffeine.
New packaging too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, first time anybody's ever seen that.
Yeah.
But we also have another good option. If
you say that.
That's probably more of a traditional pre-workout format without caffeine. We have another good product if you're into non-caffeinated training, and that's our sport hydration / energy and hydration powder, right?
That's a good one with carbs. So this is more your carb-free option.
That's right.
A lot of this is sort of attributed to gym-style training and blood flow. The other sport hydration
for
powder
weight training. Where is it?
Is much better for sort of sports. Like if you're a footy player, basketball player, any sort of sport like that.
Yeah, it's
that is probably a better option.
We've talked about your 3 energy systems, right? So we covered creatine and anaerobic, which is carbs, and then also for your aerobic system, it's got all the electrolytes and things that you need in there, so your body can perform at its optimal for as long as you can.
Yeah, I'm like you right now. Duran's halfway through Ramadan, so he's fading quick.
Yeah. Well, I'm not actually doing
halfway through Ramadan. He's doing one day.
I'm doing one day
as a token gesture to some other staff members.
Yeah. Far away. Sorry, halfway through a day of Ramadan.
Yeah. I don't know how these professional players are doing it though. I'm watching it.
Dude, Kyrie did his ACL.
What?
Did you see that?
No.
Like weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's out for the season.
And I think that had definitely something to do with him being dehydrated.
Yeah.
Although he plays every year, and he plays well every year.
Well, some UFC fighters aren't doing it because it's just not possible.
Yeah.
You have to rehydrate after like a weight cut and stuff.
Yeah, that would be impossible.
And then I've seen some soccer players though, like they actually stopped and stopped the game and had like a refueling session, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, but that's when like the moment they're allowed to.
Yeah.
Like when the sun comes down.
Yeah. Yeah. So our whole office does it one day.
Yeah, I'm not doing this year.
Yeah. No, neither. I like water and food too much.
I'm training. I've got
too old.
Semi-finals this week.
I need all the recovery help I can get.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah. But yeah, look.
Yeah.
It's not all dependent on caffeine, right?
No.
I think caffeine is a good thing to use when you need it. But then, on the days where you don't need it as much, you still want to get a lot of those other core nutrients into you to assist with more functional style of energy and blood flow.
100%.
And I got actually 2 more interesting facts about
here
caffeine,
we go.
right? So
You're only allowed one.
Yeah, if your first one's good, we'll let you have the second one.
There you go.
Which one should I drop first?
The better one.
Okay.
If it's as good as your Miyamoto Musashi quotes,
then don't even bother.
Yeah.
Okay. The act of actually taking a pre-workout, the ritual of taking a pre-workout, actually has a benefit as well.
The ritual of taking a pre-workout has a benefit.
Yeah. So when you,
I think I know what you mean.
when you want to train,
mind-altering talk he's doing to us here.
You follow this ritual of preparing a drink and going to training and getting in the zone. All of this ritualistic behavior, like repetitive things that you do before and after training, it's actually been associated with increased performance, right? Like
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And that's why like the best athletes in the world are the most disciplined and the most structured, and they're just doing things in very much a ritualistic way.
Yeah.
It's not, we have it here, we might have it there. It's just...
Have you ever seen Rafael Nadal serve a tennis ball?
No. I have, yes.
Well,
I don't really look at it
he's
to
got the
intricate detail.
The craziest ritual. He scratches his nose, pinches both his shoulders, every single serve, and he taps the racket on his chin.
The same goes for NBA players. A lot of them have the same routine before a free throw.
Exactly.
That is almost bordering like OCD.
Yeah.
Sort of. And when you're doing a sport for that long, it can become very OCD.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think we can let him have a second one?
Hang on, quick discussion.
That was a pretty good one. Come on.
That wasn't bad. Not really tied to today's topic, but
Yeah.
yeah, let's go.
I didn't
All
know
right.
that.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well, so the point of that is, if you're taking a pre-workout every day,
Oh, okay. He's
and
making his
you want
point.
and you're getting conscious of caffeine's impact, you can still take a pre-workout without caffeine
Yeah.
and keep
Yeah.
that ritual going, right?
Yeah,
Should
mix
you
it up.
Should
Yeah.
you be worried about tolerance? If you're taking pre-workout every day, like it obviously has
I do.
a diminishing effect.
That's why I like
Yeah.
it. And if you use it more sparingly, when you do actually use it, you're actually getting more of an impact. Like if you use it on a leg day or a back day or a hard sprint session or a contact session at footy and then other days where it's not so full on, you go, okay, I just don't need to be at that level today. Like there's certain things you're doing. Like
I save it for my tougher sessions for sure.
yeah.
I guess so. But
So here we go.
circling
I
back
guess
to
so,
that.
I have it 4 times a day.
The alcohol analogy, right? Like, obviously, it's much more enjoyable if you have alcohol, less frequently, and you'll have a better time. And
What are you talking about?
your body will like it better. But if you drink every day, the party doesn't stop,
Goddamn right, it doesn't.
caffeine, for some people is okay.
Wow.
What are you trying to?
Spoken like Charlie Sheen in the height of his winning
Yeah.
This
days.
is the worst intervention I've ever done.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What's
okay.
Miyamoto got to say
No,
about
so
this
the
topic?
other- that wasn't the other point.
that wasn't it.
I thought that was
No,
it.
Yeah,
no.
okay.
So the other thing is, if you have too much caffeine, actually, if you do any activity that releases too much dopamine, so caffeine is one of them. Drugs, alcohol.
Why are you looking right at Hal for all
Yeah.
of this?
Anything, even gambling, like things that give you this reward mechanism, and you get exposed to them too often. It actually rewires your brain that your baseline of reward and dopamine changes.
Yeah, people get addicted to porn for the same reason. Like
Exactly.
it's that little hint of
100%.
that was the worst sound effect. Actually, it's that dopamine hit
Yeah.
right there.
and it's things like vapes as well, right? Like
Yeah.
like it gives you a very
Super
very
addictive.
small dopamine hit.
Yeah.
You got to keep going.
So you're
And-
chasing that dopamine hit
and
constantly.
exactly. So then what happens is you actually in the long term you lose motivation. Like if you have too much caffeine and too much these short dopamine hits, motivation is intricately linked to your dopamine system, right? Because it's a reward system, motivation and reward, right?
So if you feel like you're constantly being rewarded, then there's no point in doing anything.
That's right.
That's what society's become, but hasn't it? Like via social media and mobile phones, and we're
Exactly.
constantly getting these little dopamine hits. So it's something people need to monitor. That's why we've all got anxiety and stressed out and
Did you
constantly.
notice he looked straight down the barrel of the camera when he said that?
Yeah.
Society needs to change.
Society.
Even
needs
just like
to change.
cracking your knuckles and whatnot releases like a tiny little bit of what I think it's anesthesia or whatever it is.
What?
That's
What's
a
it called?
relaxed thing or a habit.
No, but it
thing.
also releases like
Oh.
dopamine.
Do you like people that crack their knuckles around you?
I don't care. I'm pretty apathetic.
Oh,
That was that. Yeah. Do you like that?
my missus goes crazy if she,
She
hears
does, she
that.
hates it.
Hates it.
Really?
Hates it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't do it that often. But.
Miyamoto.
Actually, I
Musashi.
have a good one.
Oh, he's pre-planned today.
Pre-planned. All right.
Wow,
Is it about-
organised Diran.
It's going to be about watermelon, I bet.
Yeah. Slicing watermelons with a katana or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, when you take too much caffeine and you kind of lose your sense of calmness.
100.
Is
mate,
that
it
good or
turns-
bad? Is that good or bad for sport?
I don't like it for sport.
no,
you
neither.
Because
lose your composure
Yeah,
and
I
you're
agree.
almost acting like hyperactive. It's not this energy saving sort of feeling.
But caffeine actually improves your reaction time, right?
It does.
It's
There's
so
benefits
good
too.
for sport.
But there's
yeah.
a balance, right?
There
Like
is.
you need I like being switched on, energized without
But not
being jittery.
Jittery, yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that. Like feeling
For
like
sport,
excited.
yeah. Why? Where's
Okay,
this
well,
lady?
400 years ago, this was what Musashi had to say about it. So, when you're skilled in the art you have chosen to study, you will have a true understanding of rhythm and timing. The rhythm and timing necessary to perform flawlessly. Perfection can only be based on true calmness within the soul, and any attempt to radically change for no good reason will throw the entire attitude of calmness out of harmony. Move naturally and gracefully. Execute correctly.
That's not bad.
Think about this.
That's so much like your bar's so low. It's better than average.
Semi-relevant, but
I reckon that's almost a good like what you said before about like preparation. That's more about like be consistent. Don't change anything up before like a big game, for example.
Yeah, that can be said to diet and everything before what you're eating.
Consistency.
Yeah. Unless you're powerlifting, and then you need caffeine.
I think it's just weighing up what you're doing, and then you determine whether this is a caffeine-related activity or this is a non-caffeine related activity, but I still need those other nutrients.
Exactly.